You're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, your new favorite podcast for everything Bills and Sabres.
What's going on, everybody? You're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, your favorite podcast for all things Bills and Sabres, with the pals, Nigel, Tom, and Jake. We're down one Nigel tonight, but Tom and I are holding down the fort. So we got episode number 50 coming at you. The half-century mark. Before we get into it, quick reminder to everybody, follow our social media accounts. They're all at Let's Go Buff Pod with 2 F's, B-U-F-F. Check us out. We're on Instagram, X, and YouTube. Let's say, hey, Tom, how you doing today, pal?
Buddy, I'm great, dude. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, awesome, dude. It's been the full throes of summer. The heat is on. The humidity is thick. But we're doing fun things. I'm taking my little wee baby child to music classes, and we're getting out of the house. We're grilling. We're doing all like the fun like summer things, dude. It's on.
It's the name of the game, dude. I saw you went for a run today in the 95-degree humidity and everything.
Yeah,
you're a psychopath, dude.
I melted. Yes, I absolutely fucking should not. That was a terrible decision. I did it though, and we survived.
You're an insane person, dude. Dude, I went for a walk today, and I thought I almost drowned in my own sweat. It's rough.
There is something to say of like maybe we should go move to Greenland. You know, like
something. Yeah, some cold weather. Winnipeg in the January isn't sounding too bad right now.
No, it does not. Oh, 1 second. My co-host here is wanting out. So I'm gonna let the poor dog out. Usually she sits back here. I don't know if anybody ever sees for the Easter egg. She's usually sitting right back over here, nice and calm. And
she does.
She's a little worked up about something. So I'm gonna let her out. I'll be right back.
Let her out, dude. Let her out. Yeah. So we got 50th episode coming at you today, and we are excited to be here. We have a little bit of fun going on later in the episode. We'll throw around some historical 50-plus year history, perhaps, and we have a little Mad Lib surprise at the end. So we'll see what we can get into trouble there. But
I'm really excited for that, bro.
For now, Tom, with this fucking weather, we need to get a little thirst quencher going.
Please.
All right, I'm ready. If you are?
3,
2, 1. You go first. What are you drinking this evening?
Got a little Harpoon double IPA, which I think you bought for me last time you were here.
You're welcome.
Cheers, pal.
Cheers. I hope you enjoy it. It's a hefty one. What's that? 8.5?
Yeah, 8.1.
That's up there. Nice. Did you ever have a lava lamp when you were younger?
Hell yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah. There's one up there on top of my shelf up there.
Oh, fuck. You're right. Nice. Well, I have the guava lamp.
The
guava lamp.
Hell yeah, dude.
Brewery next door to me, Union Street Brewing. It's a sour ale, and it is sour.
What is it about sours? Like, so good.
I don't love it when they're like citric acid, just sprinkled on your tongue type sour.
Yeah. Yes.
Or if I do, that's like maybe a sip or two. But this one's nice. I like guava as a flavor, and it's got that nice subtle sourness to kind of balance it out. It's like you're drinking the fruit itself.
Yeah, man, so good. So you don't want it to be like the giant vat that Batman villains fall into?
No. I'm all set on that one, pal.
That's good. Nice, dude. Well, cheers, buddy.
Cheers
to the big 50. Happy anniversary. Hey, look at us.
Tom, I always thought I'd be celebrating an anniversary with you way back.
It was about time. It's a long time coming.
So in this segment, you're going to go over what you got me as an anniversary gift. I hope you're ready.
Oh, I hope you're ready.
He didn't get me anything, folks. There's fucking nothing. No,
I got this pencil for which I'm going to take notes.
Mr. Scrooge didn't get Tiny Tim a gift this year.
Yeah, maybe at 100. We'll see.
We'll see. All right, bro. Let's get into it. So Nigel and I met up last week and had a little live podcast, and I realized today that we didn't actually post it.
Did we not? It just went live. Oh, well, all right.
Just went live. So folks, you'll have to believe us that this is truly episode 50. Yeah. But anyways, so Nigel and I talked a little bit about free agency for the Sabres. So I wanted to give just a quick little recap. And and then go into the trade that happened since then. We haven't had a chance to discuss it yet. We were all out of town this weekend, so I say we get into it. Yeah?
Yes. Yeah. What's happened? Give us kind of the overview here of the Sabres move so far.
Yeah, and Tom, you weren't able to join us when we dove into it. So if you have questions or want any more info, you let me know. You stop.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got it cooking. I got it for the people. For the people.
So to remind everybody and just kind of recap what happened with the free agency signings, Buffalo went out and signed a handful of players, which they did not do last year. Last year, they kind of took the stand pat approach. They signed 2 defensemen. This year, they re-signed Jacob Bryson to a deal, so there's some depth D. They signed Dennis Gilbert to a one-way deal. Probably plays in Buffalo as an extra defenseman. They signed Sam Lafferty at center. They signed Jason Zucker for one of the wings. They signed Nicholas Aube-Kubel from Washington to play one of the wings or to be a 13th forward type of guy. They signed James Reimer, a goalie, older goalie. I assume if Levi is not ready for the big time, then Reimer's up, but I hope we don't see a single game of him this year. And then finally, not really a signing, that they re-upped Henry Jokiharju, and we'll get into him a little bit later. He re-signed recently. But so, and disclaimer, I read off only the one-way contracts. I didn't get into the two-way contracts. But to summarize, they signed a good amount of depth defense, which is great. You cannot have enough depth defense in this league. They're going to use 8-9 defensemen again this year. And then finally added a bunch of forwards to the core, as well as a goalie. So they restocked the goalie depth, restocked the bottom 6 of the lineup is the biggest move to me. And then got some goalie depth, defenseman depth to go on top of that.
Yeah. Nice.
Tom, yeah. What are you feeling? How are you feeling?
I'm good. So it's nice that they made moves. Just as in hockey terms, is this so? Because the way I'm kind of looking at this Sabres roster is a whole bunch of we've been trying for multiple years, over and over again. If it doesn't work, you got to do something different. Does it feel like they're trying something different, or are they just doing more of the same with just new names?
Good question. No, it does feel like they're doing something different. To me, I think they took the wrong approach last year by standing pat. They really didn't bring in anybody impactful. I think they were hoping for more from Connor Clifton and from Eric Johnson, but it didn't materialize. So yes, they're doing something differently. They're changing the head coach will change the way that they play. And I think Lindy Ruff had a big say in who was brought in, and the type of player that was brought in.
You would hope so.
We'll see how that materializes. We've talked about him before. Like, he's an older coach and he's been around the game for a while, and he had a reputation, not recently, but he had a reputation of being a more defensive minded guy. So, I think he can coach a very fast and speedy, more possession type game. But we'll have to see how it materializes. So, in summary, yes, they're trying a different approach than they did last year. It's a needed approach.
Yep.
Look, as far as the offseason goes, like, they've kind of set out to do what they were hoping to do. Kevin Adams said before the draft, even, like, the goal was to add a top 6 forward, to restock and reevaluate how the bottom 6 of the lineup plays, and to add defensive depth. So, yeah, I mean, I think they did that to a T. Like I said, we'll have to see where the defense core actually ends up. They're running back the same top 6. So we'll see. I've lost Tom, but we're gonna plow ahead. So one of the signings that I think is interesting is Jason Zucker. He came over from, I think he played in Nashville. Tom, you're back.
Oh,
so we moved on. I was talking about some of the forwards. So I think some of the forwards they brought over are interesting. The big thing for me is they haven't been able to grab a top 6 forward.
Right.
It's not too late. They can still do that. And I think if that domino falls, the offseason looks a lot better. Like, that's the big keystone piece that kind of, I think a lot of us were expecting. If that falls into place, then I think the other free agency moves will be looked at very favorably, and I think they should be. The draft also, I think they drafted pretty well. I think they picked up good players. I think they added to their pipeline in meaningful ways. So, like I said, it's good moves. Like I do trust Kevin Adams with that aspect, particularly the drafting. He's had really good drafts. But it's like we've said a lot of times. It's time to kickstart it. So
right, yeah. So and that was a question I was going to have for you. It's like it seems like we've made we made a bunch of moves here. We've kind of overhauled some bottom parts of the roster, but that missing piece, we have this trade that we're going to talk about in a second, which I think filled one hole, right? That you were concerned about.
Absolutely.
But that top 6 forward is still the concern, and that's the big domino that could push. Okay, we have strong players at the top of our roster as well, right? That's whoever that is. If they happen to be signed, they're going to have a lot of playing time. Would you agree with that and make an impact?
Totally agree with that. I think they have talented pieces at the top of the roster, but they just bought out a Jeff Skinner who could be a top 6 forward. The issue there is like they had to make that decision. There's a buyout window, so they had to make that decision in a time frame, and then I think the plan probably was to buy him out and then go find a top 6 forward via trade, and the trade part just didn't materialize. We can only speculate why. But I think that was probably the plan. But as it looks right now, it looks a little rough because you buy out a forward like that, and then you can't plug that hole. So you're not doing it in free agency. It's irresponsible to trust one of the younger kids to come up and fill that hole. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see if they're able to do that, but it's not looking too favorable right now. But we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the one of the themes of the free agency signings that they had is that all of them, except for Sam Lafferty, were 1-year contracts. So they're leaving a lot of breathing room for next season to evaluate how this year goes and re-sign the guys that maybe they want to, and allow kids to come up. They're not blocking any of the young talent, which is good to a degree. You want and need that for a healthy developing organization, but boy, it better work this year or else
right.
a new GM is signing those players.
Exactly. And you need to make some playoff noise.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And Buffalo, playoff noise means making the playoffs. Beyond that, okay. It's gravy, right? Beyond that is gravy.
100%, dude.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. So you can't just be playing the smart game of development and hoping okay, we're going to have a nice turning roster with some players coming up. Sure, that's great, but
that is good. Like soon, I hope that is the case. Yeah. You need the palate cleanser. Rip the Band-Aid off, make it. And then, I personally think the team is set up in a great way. They have a lot of talent on the roster in the NHL and in the prospect pool. Yeah. So they're building it the right way, but it needs to. You need to get that critical mass of talent to pop. Yep. It usually happens in the NHL. You have that transition where you're bad, and then all of a sudden you're good. Like New Jersey did that 2 years ago. It is possible to do. It's typically how that progression goes. So it's there. Yeah. But I've said it before. I'll say it again. Free agency is not the time to overhaul your roster or add a huge impactful piece. You're often overpaying. You're often not getting a player that's on the rise. You're getting the player that is there or declining. So it's not responsible to go out and throw big dollars at the top free agent, in my opinion. And that's not what they did. And I don't think that's the way Kevin Adams likes to structure his roster. So free agency is absolutely the time to supplement your roster, add around the fringes, add the character and role guys like he did. So I'm very happy with the free agency signings, but they need to be in addition to an add to the top of the roster. So
Yep.
Let's move on. Let's talk about the trade that happened.
Yes.
So, from Edmonton, we acquired Ryan McLeod and an AHL forward named Tyler Tullio. That's about all we're going to talk about Tyler Tullio. He's going to be shipped off to Rochester, and he's going to be a very, very happy passenger on the right wing for one of our centers down there. But In exchange for Ryan McLeod, we shipped out Matthew Savoie. You've probably heard us say that name before on here.
Yeah.
Great prospect, even. I think just off the rip, I got to say, I've seen a lot of noise from Sabres fans, NHL fans, lamenting the fact that we gave up the next Connor McDavid and this, superstar in the making, budding winger extraordinaire. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say, pump the brakes. He absolutely has the skills to become an effective NHL player, a great NHL player even. I just don't think it's this year. I don't think maybe it's not even in the next 2 years. I think he wasn't able to play in the AHL this past year, and so he had to get shipped back to juniors because of the non-compete agreements between the AHL, NHL, and the Canadian Hockey League. That's not his fault, but it isn't great for his development. He's an overager playing in the WHL, and he dominated there. Absolutely. He put up a ton of points. He looked great doing it, but he's still an overager playing against children. And now I think Edmonton and I've seen Sabres fans talking about how he's going to make the NHL roster. He's going to play on McDavid's wing, and he's going to put up tons of points and be this elite winger. And if that's the case, I will gladly eat my shirt, but I just don't see it happening. Long term, sure. But for this year, it wasn't happening. And this is the year you need to make progress, like we've said. So they move him. They get, I think, an excellent defensive center and a good piece for your center spine back. And that's the type of move we were talking about. Move some of the prospects out that you have and get some players for right now into the pipeline.
Right.
So, playing against kids, it's not exactly the best representation of how he'll do in the NHL. So the appeal for Edmonton is they get all 3 years of Matt Savoie's entry-level contract to keep skill high and dollars low for their cap. So right. I think it's a great move for them. They lose a good piece up front that Buffalo gains. So anyways, it makes sense. And finally, just last piece on Savoie. He became expendable to me. He was drafted as a center. He played center in junior, but in the NHL, he was tracking to be a winger. Due to his size, he's not a big guy, and his skill set, he plays more. He's more effective on the perimeter. I don't think he's the speediest guy in the world. He was tracking more to be a winger to me, and that type of player in the system is already there. And we just didn't really have a huge need for one of those guys. With Hellenius getting drafted as a true center in this recent draft, they have in the pipeline center to step in, and they have plenty of wingers left over still to come up and make the roster. Roseanne, Wahlberg, et cetera. So he was probably the guy that was most likely to get traded, and they got an upgrade for their NHL roster by using that trade chip. So all pluses from me.
Right. And we're at that point in the roster and in where the team's at, you got to make big moves sometimes, right? You got to make moves that might hurt in order to get the piece that you need. And sure, maybe he could in 2 to 3 years become a productive NHL player, but that doesn't help the Sabres right now, who we've spent all off seasons and all this podcast saying, you got to just go do it. You got to win, right? You got to win now. And that's not the mode that the Sabres are in, is like, oh man, I can't wait for this, player this winger to be good in 3 years.
For sure. And so I want to transition over to talking about Ryan McLeod. And I want to do that by saying Matt Savoie was a piece that people were interested in trading this year. And they were talking about, I saw a couple, mock trades and talk of trading Matt Savoie plus Buffalo's first round pick, number 11, in exchange for somebody like Anthony Cirelli on the Lightning. That was something I saw thrown around quite a bit. And I'm not saying that's a bad deal. I would have been happy with that. Anthony Cirelli is a great player. But I think Anthony Cirelli is a good comparable for Ryan McLeod. So the fact that people are butthurt about losing Matt Savoie for Ryan McLeod when they would have been happy about trading first rounder plus Matt Savoie for Anthony Cirelli, I think is a little misguided.
Sure.
What I'm not saying, I don't want to get fucking lit up either. What I'm not saying is Ryan McLeod will be as effective as Anthony Cirelli. I'm saying they're a similar type of player. And Ryan McLeod is a similar type of player that Cirelli was at his age. McLeod's a couple of years younger, but they're both incredibly responsible defensive forwards and good penalty killers. I'd say the difference is Anthony Cirelli is a bit more prolific of a scorer, whereas Ryan McLeod has not really shown that yet. If he has a weakness, it's probably his shooting abilities. But that's not something to focus on. But the focus is that he comes in and he is an excellent third line center for your team.
Right.
So
awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I'm thrilled. He had 30 points last year in 81 games for Edmonton, 4 goals in the playoffs. I think 3 of them were in the Stanley Cup final. And then I think the defining fact, like the defining trait that he has is his speed. He is one of the fastest forwards in the NHL. And that just kind of reinforces what Buffalo has been doing through their free agency acquisitions, adding speed to the front.
Yeah. Okay.
They were in the bottom half of the league, and as far as foot speed went last year, that's not going to be the case this year.
Yeah. Okay.
He's not Nathan McKinnon. I can't stress that enough. But no one, and I mean no one, comes even close. So he's in the 98th percentile of fastest skaters last year. He was 5th in the NHL as far as 20+ mile an hour bursts last year.
Okay.
He's fast. And he uses that to get into scoring areas. Like when he does score, it's because he's getting to the front of the net using his speed. It's not because he's a sniper by any means. But that's okay. If he can come and chip in 30 points again with our third line, I'd be thrilled. I think he's a solid add. He is a great penalty killer, and I believe he'll be on the first penalty killing unit. And he adds speed to that group too. You need speed's lethal on the penalty kill. You can really force some turnovers and get some good chances off of that. So I'm looking forward to watching him. It's a great trade. I'm really happy with it. We can talk about where he slots in a few minutes here, but it's a good move. It's a good move.
Yeah. It sounds it. It's a piece that can make a immediate impact. Is that true?
100%. Yeah, he's been in the league for a couple of years now. So yeah, immediate impact for certain.
What's his contract like? Is it digestible?
100%. Yeah. So it's 1 year. This is the last year remaining on it.
Okay.
He is set to be a restricted free agent when it ends. So we still have team control of him. For right now, he is signed to a $2.1 million deal. So incredibly digestible. I think you kind of see how he fits in and see, we can talk more about what the Sabres might want for an extension as we see how he fits into the team's strategy and long-term plan. But for a 24-year-old, $2.1 million defensive-minded center, I'm extremely happy with that.
That's pretty sweet. All right. Yeah, dude. Awesome. So what else? What else is there? Any other cleanup on the off-season moves here? And
I guess,
kind of like a roster here coming up.
Yeah, for sure. So the other cleanup piece is Henry Okiharu, defenseman, re-signed for 1 year at $3.1 million.
Okay.
So he'll be back with the team. That locks in, for the most part, that they are running back the same top 6 group of defensemen that they did last year.
Yep.
So, depending on what your mileage on that group was, you should be either whelmed or underwhelmed. I think he's a fine defenseman. He's probably just above replacement level. I don't think he's really moving the needle for the team too much. I think if you can play him with Power or Dahlin, and he can be a net neutral and let the other guy cook a bit, I'm happy with it. If he ends up on the third pair and Samuelson or someone else steps up to the top 2 pairs, then great. I think he's for my money, he's a good third pairing defenseman in the NHL. So I'm not mad about it. small amount of money, and then he'll be a UFA after that, which I saw some confusion about. He will be a UFA. He will not be an RFA after this deal ends. There was a year where to get from RFA to UFA status, Tom, you need to have X amount of eligible seasons in the league, and to get to an eligible season, you need to play or be dressed for a certain number of games.
Sure.
And one of his seasons, he was dressed for. He played 38 of the 40 games needed to be an eligible season, but he was on the active roster for the additional 2 games, something along those lines, where he did have that count as an eligible season, and so he will be a UFA at the end of the year.
Okay, cool.
Convoluted, but for the sake of convoluted sake, but we got there. So that was a cleanup piece. The other piece, like I keep hearing rumors about, Buffalo has a trade in place for Nikolai Ehlers or Martin Necas, but the no trade clauses or no movement clauses for those guys are a sticking point, which is fair. We've talked about it before. Not many players want to come play for a team that hasn't made the playoffs in 13 years.
Right.
So look, we'll see if a deal can get done, but I'm not super hopeful. They might have to rely on their own pool to get themselves over the hump. So, anyways, any points you want to make, or you want to look at a little state of the roster as of today and go from there and talk about what they might. Well, we just did talk about what they might need to do, but
right, yeah, dude. No, man. Let's kind of look at the roster here.
All right.
We have, and I'm sure they'll have a whole couple podcasts about projection of lines and things like that. But this is kind of just a rough sketch, would you say?
Yeah, for sure. We'll do that much closer to the season, into training camp. Yeah. Let's start in an opposite order here. Let's build from the net out. Yeah, because I think that's probably easiest. So
okay.
UPL still needs to be signed. That's a big piece that needs to fall into place. And right. Devin Levi is likely your tandem. As an extra, they got James Reimer. I hope to God he's not in Buffalo. I hope to God he's not on the starting roster for the team on opening night. I think he should get sent down to Rochester. I don't want them to do a 3-goalie carousel anymore. But happy with those 2 goalies. That's the bed they've made. Let's let them lie in it.
And probably that if he is in Buffalo for the puck drop, like that's probably saying something that didn't go well with UPL or Devin Levi, right?
Yeah, I think so. I fully anticipate UPL and Levi having every opportunity to make the team. I think it would require one of them to really fumble the bag in training camp and preseason for them to not open with that tandem. I think it is possible that if Reimer looks great and is really solid during preseason games, then they might toy with the idea of having 3 goalies again. We'll see. But he's a 36-year-old goalie. Like he's fine. He's not going to actively hurt you on too many nights. But I agree with you. I think it would take a bit of a catastrophe in training camp for Levi in particular for him to get sent down.
All right. Defenseman.
Moving on to defensemen. Yeah. So Bowen Byram, Rasmus Dahlin, probably a top pair there. Owen Power and Matthias Samuelsson. I stuck Samuelsson up there. Longest signed guy. Like he'll probably slot up there. And then Connor Clifton and Henry Jokiharju are your 5-6.
Cool.
Again, not much to say there. Same group as last year. They were fine. I'm interested to see how they look playing a potentially different style with Ruff instead of Granato coaching. And then for your scratches or your 7th, 8th D, Jacob Bryson's back, and Dennis Gilbert, who's a hometown Buffalo kid, actually. Shout out to Dennis Gilbert and his family. Right. But we'll see. I don't anticipate those guys will certainly rotate in, but not hopefully not playing more than 30, 40 games.
Right. Okay.
On to the forwards. And this is where I think the conversation gets interesting. So top line, you have JJ Peterka, Tage Thompson, Alex Tuck.
Yep.
Those guys played a decent amount last year together. I think that is probably what management sees as the opening top line. Next up, second line is kind of the kid line. That's what it was nicknamed last year. Dylan Cousins at center, Jack Quinn on the wing, and then ex-winger in the left wing slot. That's where Peterka slotted in last year. He's been kind of bumped up the depth chart with Skinner's decline at the end of last year and his buyout.
Sure.
So I think this is the spot, like we said, top 6 forward. You slot in and you push the wingers down. So Peterka's a top 6 winger for sure. He's that right now. He will be that next year. Whether or not he plays with Cousins and Quinn, great. If he plays with Thompson and Tuck, great. But I'm hoping that they get an impact player. I would pee myself if it was Nikolai Ehlers.
Well, all right, Huggies. We're gonna get Huggies brand sponsorship here.
Mm-hmm.
Help out the adult size pee your panners.
Exactly. But point being, there's an opening there, right? I think right now, if they did not make any moves like that, I think they probably toy around with throwing Zach Benson there to see if he can step up, throwing Jason Zucker there, the vet, to see how he looks. Other ideas I've seen floated: move Ryan McLeod up to your second line center and throw Dylan Cousins to the wing. That's an option. I don't love that as an option, but it is an option. I've seen other people talk about maybe one of the kids, Roseanne Kulik, comes up and wows in training camp and makes the team out of camp, and you throw them with Cousins and Quinn. Who knows? It's too early to say, but the point I'm trying to illustrate, there's a hole there to be filled, and we'll see what happens. But moving on. So Benson's a winger, Zucker's a winger, Greenway is your winger. I think those guys slot in around the third line. That'd be great. Again, I would love to add a top 6 forward to push Jordan Greenway down to the fourth line. Like he's a decent defensive winger, but he's shown you who he is offensively. He's not dynamic in that end of the rink.
Right.
And it drove me fucking nuts when Granato would put him out there to try to score a tying goal late in the game last year. So push him down the lineup, please. And then I think you have a completely new, reinvented fourth line. I think Beck Mallenstein plays a lot. He should, given how much they paid for him. You signed Sam Lafferty. I think he slots in as probably your fourth line center. You have Nicholas Aube-Kubel on the right wing. The interesting one for me then, where does Peyton Krebs fit on this team now that you've traded for Ryan McLeod and signed Sam Lafferty? Both are natural centers. Lafferty can play anywhere on the line. I'm not too worried about that. Like, he doesn't need to be the fourth line winger. So I think Krebs, you could also shift Krebs to the wing, but I think he's a pretty effective center if he's protected, if he's down your lineup. So
right. Okay.
I'm asking you a rhetorical question, but like, where do we slot in Peyton Krebs in the fall?
Yeah, so that's gonna be a training camp question. That's something looking in training camp of how things are slotting in and where things are fitting.
It could be before that. He's unsigned right now. He's a restricted free agent, so he could be a trade chip, wrapped up in a deal somewhere. We'll see. I don't know. The questions about Peyton Krebs are interesting to consider where he might fit in. If they re-sign him, then he'll definitely be you don't re-sign somebody like Peyton Krebs to sit as the extra forward, I think, unless he really, really struggles in training camp.
Yeah.
If they re-sign him, you got to pencil him into the top 12 forwards somewhere. But it's an interesting question. I think Jordan Greenway is somebody that could be traded away. The experiment maybe is over, but we'll see, Tom. A lot of questions with the forward group. So we'll have to see where that ends up.
Cool, man. So kind of looking forward to the rest of the offseason. We're looking for a possible trade for a top 6 forward, right? And then beyond that, we've kind of seen most of the pieces fall, right? Yeah,
for sure. I think there's opportunity for that kind of move in July or so. By the time August hits, it really, really dies down in the NHL. There's not much news at all. People are away hanging out at their cottages and things.
Sounds nice.
So yeah, I think if you don't see a move by August 1st, you can kind of assume that what we got is what we're going into the season with. So,
sure. Okay. All right, man.
It doesn't mean a move can't happen later on. A big thing in the NHL is it doesn't really matter what your lineup is like on opening night. it matters a lot more what your lineup's like at the trade deadline and towards April.
Right.
It changes. There's players to pick up on waivers and trades and things like that. It's not set in stone when opening night happens. So
right. All right.
We'll see.
Well, hey, go Sabres, pal.
Go Sabres. Give me a quick. We've been talking a lot about the Sabres in your absence. So give us a quick elevator pitch. What do we have to look forward to for Bills episodes coming up? And as far as that timeline goes, not to put you on the spot, but
I'm starting to wake up dreaming of crisp fall weather and leaves falling slowly through the blue sky and the tailgate, just stoves and grills all starting to light up, man. It's coming. It's coming, man. We are definitely less than 100 days to kick off. It's less than 9 Sundays till we have NFL football. So, we're going to do some homework here kind of leading into the season. We're, of course, going to have some roster projections coming up. We're, of course, going to have tons of training camp reactions. What's going on? What do we see? What are the interviews from player interviews, from coach interviews? So there's lots of preparation there, and we're going to take a little bit of an insight into the roster of what now that things have mostly settled. What does our offense look like? What does our defense look like? What are some changes going to be made with the new special teams rules? Where are we at, and what can we expect from this Buffalo Bills team that kind of going into a fresh year? This is the freshest look the Bills have ever had in the last, at least since Bean and McDermott have started to put this move some building blocks. So it's going to be really cool. It's really exciting to see what will our boys do to kind of create success this offseason. So that's where we're headed. We'll have these next few weeks. You'll definitely be entertained, and you can tune in for some good Bills content and kind of doing our homework right now. And the offseason is the time to do your homework. Eat your broccoli.
Yeah. Good stuff. I can't wait, man. Training camp soon.
Yeah, dude, it's coming up. End July, training camp starts. So we got a couple weeks, and then boom, we're gonna start seeing Josh Allen, number 17, in some shorts and throwing balls around to other Bills players. So it'll be fun.
Good. I can't wait for it, man.
Yeah, dude. Well, I think even more importantly, look at us. We have made it to episode 50. Look at us.
Kicking and screaming.
A few of you might have listened to more than one episode, so thank you for doing that. We appreciate you. And yeah, dude, this is pretty wild. We started last summer, right about this time. It was July time. That we were kind of shooting the idea around, hey, could we talk stupid ideas into microphones and will maybe somebody listen?
Because we did that already without the microphone, so we said, fuck it, why not? What's the worst that happens? We just talk at each other.
Yeah, exactly. Talk into the void, and it's so far, it's been mostly void and some audience. So we appreciate you guys.
But we love you, Void.
We love you.
Don't ever change.
It walks out on us. It's just fuck these guys again.
The server just crashes and get the fuck out of here. You're not welcome here.
Yeah, we're done with you guys. So anyway, absolutely pretty cool. Honestly, kind of really fun. We're just 3 buds who are just kind of shooting the shit and trying things out and having fun with it. And we appreciate anybody who's listened to any amount of episodes or any amount of minutes of episodes. So this is kind of just a little celebration. We are hoping for another 50 more and maybe 50 more after that. Who knows? So kind of cool to have made it to 50. We're going to just kind of Jake has a fun game to kind of close our conversation out. But just kind of also in the spirit of kind of celebration and some fun things to think about in Buffalo sports fandom. Is there any particular Bills or Sabres moments, or even, let's start with moments and that might be maybe kind of defined your fandom?
Yeah, for sure. Well, wait, before that, I want to say, maybe it's a teaser, but if you are watching live and you want to get involved in the fun little game later, please drop in the chat an adjective or a plural noun or anything along those lines. Anything you want. Profanity included.
You can guess what game we're going to play.
It's really hard. It's really tough to put your finger on that one. But no, dude, it's just reflecting back on the 50 episodes and reflecting back on the illness that I have, which is watching and cheering for Buffalo sports teams.
Dude, all of us are a little sick in the head. We have to be, right?
Completely sick in the head. Yeah. No, I mean, just go into, moments on the ice are great and everything, but just the the memories, and there's no specific game, but just like the memories of going to games with my dad when I was younger.
Yep.
Sabres, Amerks, anything along those lines were impactful and formed my specific illness that we've been talking about for 40 minutes here.
Totally. So, yeah, man. It's the sights, it's the sounds, it's the the feeling you get with a big crowd, and all that kind of stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah. And just I think, as far as like with the actual team itself, some of the runs that when we were younger, they went on in 05, 06, 06, 07, and just seeing the sea of people outside KeyBank Center, HSBC Arena at that time, I think I was blanking on the name, but yeah, just seeing the passion, like it hurts my heart to see empty stands now. And I don't blame fans, but it just seeing what that building and area can be is contagious. So I just want that back. Those are it for me. Like just that kind of feeling of feeling like you're part of something and cheering for the same thing. God, dude, I want that back so bad. What about you? What do you look back on?
It's coming, dude. There's a couple I agree. It's the community. It's like when I've hung with friends or been in amongst the Bills Mafia that have really helped it. A couple of them that stick in my brain is sitting in a Bills bar in downtown Rochester, January 8th, 2023. We just watched Damar Hamlin go down with injury in this catastrophic injury that was honestly a little traumatic watching. And can't imagine being a player or a teammate or a coach or a family member of Damar.
100% traumatic, dude. Yeah, it was scary.
And okay, so we spent all week of okay, is the guy okay? Is the guy alive? And okay, he is. And they're starting to be. He's woken up, right? We get some news like of what he said to his teammates and things, and he wakes up and say, "Did we win?" Like that kind of shit. And then the next, I think that game got postponed by a day or two to Monday or something. And Bills are hosting the New England Patriots. So I'm back home. I'm back in Rochester with family, going to see friends. We're in a Bills bar downtown Rochester, and Nyheim Hines rips off a kickoff return on opening kickoff, and the place just erupts. I've never been in a sports bar that has erupted as just wildly as at that moment. That it was truly like a transcendent moment. It was wow, it was a community moment, and just that was insane.
Yeah, I think the thing with the Hamlin situation that was most impactful to me is the kind of coming together and supporting a human, not necessarily anything to do with the sport. Like you see somebody go through that kind of thing, and people banded together to stick by him. And it reminds us that we are so privileged to be able to sit here and talk about sports teams.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like we're talking about sports. It's not like a serious thing. It's something we do for enjoyment, and that's refreshing to kind of get a reminder of every once in a while. Despite something tragic happening, thank God he's okay, but it just kind of brings you back down to earth that it's about a game at the end of the day. This person's livelihood is being impacted, and that's refreshing and heartwarming for me to see. That was
it built one of my favorite things about at least the Buffalo Bills and becoming more about the Sabres too, is this team is people you want to root for. It's not just while they're good and they're fun to watch on the field. It's I from my perspective, sitting here at home, they seem like good people that you want to root for, and that you were man, that's you want to believe in, right? And that moment and the way that they reacted and the way that responded and the way that they gathered around Damar and just it was really cool. So that whole sequence, and then of course he goes and Nyheim Hines rips another one off later in that game. My poor wife is a Patriots fan, and she was in that bar with us.
Boo! Boo!
Oh yeah. But oh my God, did the looks that I got of okay, you're gonna make me sit through this? She has vowed to never go to another Bills bar with me, and I don't blame her. So that's fine.
Honestly, grounds for divorce. Nicely done, Katie. I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah, dude. So that was wild. What was some other really fun ones? It could be the perfect, also against the Patriots, the perfect offensive game in the playoffs where Josh Allen just diced him up. It was like -8 degrees. And yeah, I actually have a friend up here who works at the school I work at, and he was at that game.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, Patriots fan. But he was at that game, and
not a good time.
Not a good time. But man, was that fun as a Buffalo Bills fan. Yeah, and there's more and stuff. I just, it's fun to kind of think about and reminisce on some of these moments of like, wow, that's a defining moment in my fandom,
For sure. Yeah. That's what it's about. It's about having fun.
Hell yeah, dude.
Speaking of having fun, should we play a quick little game?
I would love to. I've done a little research and I've come prepared. How about that?
Good. Because I'm gonna need you to rapid fire. Are you ready?
Okay, I am ready for Let's Go Buffalo podcast Mad Libs.
Yes, exactly. If you haven't guessed it by now, we're playing Mad Libs. So if this show had any production value, I would have written this and came up with things. And I did edit it and make it a little bit more interesting. But I have to have a big shout out to ChatGPT for the framework of this one.
Hey, you know what? Let's go. Our AI overlords. Hey, hopefully she's funny.
Exactly. We'll see. All right, Tom. Hit
they.
Please, Tom. Hit me. And also, I apologize to everyone for my key clacking. But it is what it is. Tom, hit me with an adjective.
Diabolical.
Silly name for a team.
The Crotch Rockets.
Ooh, I like it. A plural noun.
Pineapples.
Sure. Another plural noun.
Tailgates.
Come up with another one.
A little too on the nose. Okay. Bananas. We're going with fruit.
We're on a fruit kick. Tom, I need 4 adjectives in a row. Rapid fire. Quick.
Jesus.
Quickly.
Okay.
Quickly.
Obnoxious.
That's
Stinky.
Me. Stinky. Also me.
Loud.
Oh, not me, actually.
And fruity.
What is it with you and fruit?
I don't know. I'm inspired here.
Give me a verb that ends in ing.
A verb that ends in ing. Bounding.
Bounding. All right, and a food object.
Guacamole.
Guacamole. How about a noun?
Give me a chin strap.
Chin strap. Adjective.
Ferocious.
Ferocious. Funny costume.
Yeah, this one I was good. Oscar Mayer Wiener.
Okay, I love it. Another noun.
Oh boy. Baseball hat.
Okay. 2 plural nouns.
Okay. Bottles.
Uh-huh.
And cleats.
Mm-hmm. How about a silly object?
A silly object. A slinky.
2 adjectives.
Okay. Fun.
Yep. Sure. Okay.
And slimy.
Slimy. I like it. A silly dance move.
The shopping cart.
Oh, I like it. An adjective. Don't strain yourself too much.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, my brain is working. An adjective. Give me fluffy.
Oh, yeah. How about a body part?
Buttocks.
Noun.
Okay.
Quickly, Tom.
Okay. That doesn't make me go faster. Give me a beer can.
Mm-hmm. A food.
A garbage plate.
Mm-hmm. Adjective. You're almost done.
Oh, thank God. Nigel, I blame you for this. Give me an adjective. Give me quickly.
3 verbs ending in ing.
Okay. Give me placing.
Mm-hmm.
Give me undulating.
Oh.
And give me shooting.
Shooting. Okay, and a plural noun?
A plural noun. Give me.
So help me God if it's another fruit.
Now I want it to be. Okay, give me a tennis rackets.
Okay. Sure. Adjective?
Oh God. Sweaty.
And last one, a silly word. The silliest word that you can come up with right now.
Poppycock.
But excellent. Excellent. All right, Tom, are you ready to hear?
I would love to. Yes.
All right.
In celebration.
See, again, if we had any production value, now would be the time for like some sound effects or something.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Tom. All right. One diabolical day in Buffalo, Nigel, Tom, and Jake decided to attend a Buffalo Bills game against the Crotch Rockets. They arrived at Highmark Stadium wearing pineapples on their heads and carrying bananas in their hands. As they found their seats, they noticed a slimy Josh Allen warming up with his obnoxious throws and Dalton Kincaid practicing his stinky catches. The crowd was loud. You actually came up with that one, Tom. That was nice.
Okay.
The crowd was loud with excitement, and the announcer's voice boomed. Welcome to the most fruity game of the season.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
During the game, Jake couldn't stop bounding his favorite buffalo guacamole while Tom was busy trying to start a chin strap wave. Nigel, always the ferocious one, decided to dress up as an Oscar Mayer wiener to cheer on the team.
Yes. Nigel, for missing this episode, you have to do that.
In a surprising twist, the mascot, Billy the Buffalo, invited them onto the field for a halftime baseball hat competition.
Hey.
Nigel, Tom, and Jake had to race across the field while wearing bottles on their feet and juggling cleats. The crowd went wild as Nigel tripped over as Nigel tripped over a slinky. Tom collided with a fun fan, and Jake performed a shopping cart at the finish line. After the race, McDermott came over to the boys and gave them a fluffy slap on the buttocks and told them that he made them proud.
Perfect.
Back in the stands for the second half, the boys cheered as Tyler Bass prepared for a beer can game-winning beer can. The crowd The crowd held their breath as he kicked the ball, which flew through the air and landed in a giant bowl of garbage plates. The stadium erupted in cheers, and Billy the Buffalo did a quick victory dance. After the game, Nigel, Tom, and Jake celebrated by placing and undulating with the fans. They ended the night by shooting in a big pile of tennis rackets and declaring it the most sweaty day in Buffalo sports history. It was truly a day to remember in the land of poppycock. Thank you all for 50 episodes. We love you all. Thank you for tuning in and even entertaining us at all. Tom, take us out of here.
Yeah, that was good. I love the sign out. Yeah, we love you guys so much. Thank you so much. My name is Tom. That is Jake. Please give us a follow on Instagram, X, TikTok, and YouTube at Let's Go Buff Pod. These are my pals. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. Let's go Buffalo.